How you doing? What's up, ADOS? Hey, this is Harper back again. What's up, ADOS? How y'all doing? I'm looking at y'all out there. I want to tell you something, first and foremost, American DOS. First, I want to show you something. Y'all, we are at war. We're at war. We're at war with our war talking points. We're at social war. It's a war. But let me tell you first and foremost about the center. We, as a community, have gained a contraction in a relevant space throughout the introducing of American DOS, ADOS. And I'm going to tell y'all something. Let me fix my light. I'm going to tell y'all something. Well, Yvette Cornell did a show last night on Breaking Brown. And we was there. We was at the meeting. We heard the show. And what concerns me first, maybe I'm from the old school or whatever, I don't know, but I respect my women. And what concerns me, there was a gentleman who called, and I think I know that voice. I don't know, but I think I know that demeanor also. But I want to say, I'm going to correct you, brother. I'm going to correct you, brother. Because there was a gentleman who called the show, and he kind of carried a tone, and he kind of like went into this space of trying to defy our sister talking points. But it's not so much, I'm not saying that it was purposely. It may have been subconscious, but it still happened. And stay with me here, because it happened to something and to a science that I think need to be broke down. First and foremost, Yvette Cornell, Antonio Moore, Sandy Darity are made to be respected in terms of who they are and what they have done as pertains to their expertise. Yvette Cornell it's a political science. This place that we've been brought to in terms of discussion on the board and at the round table of our politicians has came through think tanks and have been studied through our thought leaders and has gained contraction in our fourth branch government, the media. And for you to, understand this is one thing. But for you to basically come up with devil's advocate, and that's what we do. And that's what upsets me with us, the community. For you to come up with devil advocacy, and we play devil advocacy to try to basically have a better analysis about something that we don't really know in terms of science. The proof is in the pudding. When I say the proof is in the pudding, I mean the only reason we're relevant in this space is because somebody who has a very strong intellectual presence or who has been educated in that place, in that segment, has been able to introduce something for the benefit of us all, for the greater good. This is the only reason we can come forth under these talking points, under this title, under this acronym, is because of the people who have been submitted themselves under humility to bring forth this, not for themselves, but for the greater good. And that means for all of us to have a space. And the only reason we were able to become relevant is through our unity. We must not forget, unifying is what put us in a place where we are relevant, where people are saying, I revere these talking points, and all these people are speaking the same thing at the same time. These people are talking. So now we being discussed in the place we set out to be discussed. This is what we got to understand. And we come with devil's advocate, brothers and sisters. We got to understand that this is a much broader spectrum than us speaking about being personal in terms of defying the talking points of honorable people. The proof is in the pudding. But we understand a lot of times when people come forth like that and they call themselves bringing a moral compass, they lose the value of unity and lose the value of humility in terms of communicating. And so what they do is they lose the value of unity. And they start it gets co-opted into something different. Because now you have been able to come to a space throughout something that's been put together for you that gain contraction, and you want to talk about the things that you should do and that you have a more better analysis, and nothing you did has accessed nothing or gained any contraction. But you are in this space which have. And you want to defy the talking points of the people who introduced it to you. It speaks volumes. Even if you subconsciously in that place. That has been our problem. We must not forget that we are in this space through our unity. We have united. In the month of January, it gained contraction to the point where people were saying, they wonder, were they really speaking? Are they really going to say something? Do they really have a voice? Kamala Harris and all of them they was like, oh, wow. This thing is bigger than I thought it was. So this is the agenda. And you can kill the messenger, but you can't kill the message. That's an ideology. That's an idea of something. So we have to respect those which are in position. Positionality is everything. You see, political science is our life. And I knew that because I understand these things, but for someone else to bring it to the table in a more sense of being important to a wide spectrum in terms of social media and government policy, then I have to revere that space, and I'm very glad to. Non-reluctant, very receptive to the idea of people being able to put their prestige and expertise on a matter that means something to me. So I'm not going to defy the presence of which they're speaking. And I don't get the chance to be receptive to insanity. And that's a form of insanity when we continue to do things the same way and expect a result or a different result. So when we go against each other, we doing things the same way we've been doing it, and we're not getting a different result. And we're not going to get a different result if that what happens. But now I give kudos to our leader think tanks and our brothers and sisters, because they have remained like Yvette Cornell. She remains humble to the point where she remains precise. She stays focused. And to me, I would describe that as shrewdness. She's very shrewd. Now, I said once, you know how I play checkers. But brothers, I kind of get a little touchy about men losing our voice, raising our voice up when we're dealing with the lion of our female. She's the lion of female. She's our jewel. Yvette Cornell is made to be respected. I kind of get a little bit feeling some type of way about that, because that's my sister. And she has a beautiful and relevant space for the greater good of who I am in terms of community and how I reflect in terms of business. This is business. And I want us to know that we okay as long as we remember the momentum of what we are doing. And I'm not going to be long, but I want to mention African panism. It is dangerous right now to be African panism. It's okay to be African panism, but be careful. You have to use discretion. There's a time and a place for everything. Just like there's a time and a place for people to denounce, like you said, Tiger Woods denounced his blackness. We was talking about Tiger Woods last night. There's a time for everything. He denounced his blackness. Of course he did. A lot of people did. To be in spaces they are in terms of access and wealth, or accessing a certain thing that looked like whiteness. So they have denounced who they were, and this is the conspiracy of which we have experienced as a community, and we don't have epoxy. And that's what we're talking about. It's transparent for us to see that, and we are here to recondition and rectify those elements that are transparent to us and offensive. You don't get to be black, be me in terms of refuge when your wife leave you and catch you cheating and take all your money, and then you become me. You become black under the to seek refuge, and then you get to denounce it when you okay. My blackness ain't nothing to be played with, because I understand government policy. I understand the umbrella of community. This is a clear picture of your importance when you do that. Like people like Tiger Woods, when you do that, what you have said to the people is that these people are not important, even if I am them. That's what you're saying. I'm not going to reckon with the sins of America. I'm not going to reckon with that, even if it happened to me, because now I'm okay. Actually, that's a very undesirable legacy also. It's a cowardice exchange. So this is what we're talking about. And we denounce these things in terms of unity. Not to be saying, oh, well, you're okay for doing that. Everybody else did it. Everybody else did it. And they moved to white suburbs, and everybody else did it, and everybody else did it, and jumping up and hollering. That's not what we're doing. We're being civilized. We're being civilized about each other's concerns. We disagree to agree, and not to disagree and disagree and disagree and disagree, and then make somebody else agree. We be receptive to each other. And you can, and each other's moral compass as well. You can bring your moral compass. But to be insane is another story. Insanity can get you put back in the same place you was already in. That's dangerous. And so it's dangerous also to be Pan-Africanist. But it's okay because I have some Pan-African attributes within, internally. I understand that, but like I said, use discretion, because what Pan-Africans has offered us is to be compassionate about global blackness. But we have to understand it's something that don't reciprocate to us. We have to know the limit of it. We've introduced Pan-Africanism. So we got to remember how powerful we are. We introduced that. So have the global society have been receptive to, have reciprocated the same to us in terms of our passion to blackness? Or have they came to where we have made plenty for them and left us? And let us wear dashikis and remain Pan-Africanists. What has happened? So it's a religion we can keep, but we must not denounce our brothers and deface their talking points in terms of what we need for the greater good. Now, see, you have to follow the chain of command. You first need to help yourself at your own table. We got food at our table that we cannot even touch. That we built the table, we put the floor underneath it, we put the chairs to that, we built it, and the food, we prepared the food, and we ought to be at the table enjoying the meal. And that means our inheritance, our reparations. That means our political rights. That's what that means. So if we are not in the space to first be healthy in ourselves, then we can get strong enough to be actual better Pan-Africanists. Once we are rectified, we are somebody. We are relevant in a space where we can access another type of importance and be relevant first of who we are, and then we can be better off inside Pan-Africanists, inside being a Hebrew Israelite, inside being a Nation of Islam, the church, or whatever, Jehovah's Witness, or whatever. We have looked for these identities throughout our blackness. We was looking for our blackness throughout all of these groups. I understand that too. And we found a culture that we were proud of in terms of religion and culture that we can reflect on in terms of us being somewhere relevant. We have to remember, when you above community and family, you too high up. So we have to understand, which everybody else already has. We have denounced the very thing everybody else kept, and that's each other. No other group has done that. We're very peculiar people. We found other things. We access other religions and stuff outside of each other in order to be important, so we can reflect in spaces which we believe that are healthy for us in terms of all these religions and all of these identities. And that's okay, because we were under conspiracy enough to do that. But right now, it's a different space, so reconditioning. So if you want to remain in these spaces, in these religions, that's fine. But remember, when you come to family, you with family. You are with the agenda that's at hand. You are with a concern. When you go to work every day, do you go to work telling people about your religion all the time? Or pressing on to them about what you believe? You dare to do a duty. You dare because you have an expertise in terms of your education and in terms of your duty as a job performance. That's what ADOS is. We are here to support each other in terms of what has happened to us as a group. And we are to respect each other. Not to say we're not doing it right because my religion ain't involved. Everybody's religion is welcome. I haven't heard Yvette Cornell or Tony no more say nobody's religion was welcome. But this is not a Pan-African story. You can't expect this to be all about your religion. She ain't said nothing about her religion. This is not a church story. This is not a Jehovah's Witness story. This is not a Hebrew Israelite story. It's closer to the Nation of Islam story than anything else. But this is a Black American story. This is a Black American story. So we have to remember our feelings are on our shoulders already because of what happened to us. That's the science of who we are. We have to remember we lost because we lost our unity through our conspiracy. We were interjected with all kinds of conspiracy. So we were separated. But because we came together throughout the month of January, we gained contraction under ADOS. Don't forget that when y'all start coming in, being opinionated about how the roots of your beliefs and how you should be passionate about other Black folks and globalness. And we were never really slaves. We were already here. You need to understand that this has nothing to do with all that necessarily. It's an existence, it's a culture, but what has happened, these are about truths and facts of things which you exchanged on in terms of government policy, in terms of the umbrella of conspiracy, in terms of the umbrella of a system, in terms of the umbrella of democracy, things that have been exchanged upon that lines you up in one space, even though you have a different religion. This is what this is. This is what this is. So that you can be connected to which that you belong to, so you can be better in whatever you are. But first, you and foremost, a slave descendant. And we came from slaves. That we were wrongfully anchored, so we found ourselves throughout all of these things in the diaspora. However, we have to remember unity. So when you start thinking about your emotions and where you have anchored yourself, and in terms of finding yourself in your Blackness and your religion and everything in God, you have to remember, think about these things when you come to the table of this reckoning. Think about it before you start interjecting about all of that. Now, it's okay to do that, but use discretion. Be careful. Use discretion. Because this is what this is. This is about the reckoning of what happened to slave descendants and Black folks in America. And what we allowed to, what we were subjected to up until now, in terms of being redlined, in terms of being without, neglected of things that's important of America, because we are trying to at least be American. Right now, in terms of being on the books of respect and government policy, we have not been obtained, we have not been exchanged properly. We've been anchored wrongly throughout a power source. That's a money-making engine. And we were the source of that. Anchored in abuse, neglect, denial, conspiracy. No matter what religion we found, this is not a Pan-African story. No matter what religion we found. But you can turn it into that. But please remember, we are anchored in what has happened to us and the way we do business and all of that under who we were before we can say we were somebody. We were born into slavery here. Our ancestors was born into slavery in this country. Those who are natives into slavery, a lot of us. So this is about what we were before we can say what we are. It's not about now that you've claimed something. Let's reckon there first, and then in the center around that importance. And that importance is your political rights, the umbrella of your protection, protected class citizenship, things you have not been given so that you can compete with the society that you're in on an equal playing field. So you can compete, so you can be in the space of which how this moves or how something exists which have been surrounded by you in terms of you being a prisoner of war. This is what this is about. Not to say you can't be Pan-African. It ain't to say that. Or you can't be Hebrew Israelite or part of the nation. That's not to say that. And a lot of people know that already, but some don't. That's why I'm explaining it. It's not to say that. You can be that, but you can be more effective and better in it once we correct this, is what we're saying. We are peculiar people, and we have chosen different avenues, most out of any other group, in terms of religion and culture. But let's rectify each other and stop coming at each other trying to defy because we come from another anchor. Black people have learned to do that because we feel like we're important when we have a better analysis than someone else. Let's be in unity first. It's like a singer. Singers sing in unity, they sound beautiful. But when somebody's trying to out-sing somebody, it gets thrown off because we're not in unity. This is the beauty of unity, where we have an agenda and we can still talk and have disagreements, and we can, have an open discussion. But we have to understand how this is anchored and where it's anchored from. We interjecting too many things that don't exist in this space. This is about the rectification of our laws and what has happened to us before we became all these different people. This is what this is about. And let's get that straight, and then we can come better at these people who we become in our culture we adopted. We were first slaves. We were first one people. But we got these religions and we got all these different cultures, and now we want to interject them into this agenda. And we don't realize the importance of this and how it exists. But anyway, I'll come back and talk to you more. Just remember what I said, because I'm very passionate about us as a people, and I don't want anybody to be hurt or lost in terms of how they feel in your religion, because I have one. Like I said, we love each other. We're strong. But when we do something global, how are we going to do something global and we don't even have we haven't even batterized ourselves up? We got to be at home first. We got to take care of ourselves. If you're going to go out and run and play ball, you have to eat before you leave the house. You got to have a Gatorade. You're going to go to the show. You have to take a bath. You have to reckon first. You have to follow the chain of command. Come on, black people. Let's understand. Come on, black people. Come back. Remember, unity is how we got here. So think about that. I'm not going to be with you long. I just want you to process what I said. But thank you so much for joining me. This is Harper, Community First.